repeatedly.
Member from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Island and Rideau Lakes.
Well, Speaker, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. This Prime Minister's new de facto finance minister, carbon tax Carney, has massive conflicts of interest, including multiple foreign investment firms. Canadians don't know how much he personally stands to profit from the advice that he's giving to the Prime Minister. It's more blatant corruption from this NDP Liberal government. So will the Prime Minister simply have carbon tax Carney sworn in as a public office holder so that the full extent of Canada's disclosure laws apply to him too?
Yeah, man, we don't know what his financial holdings are, which is crazy.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the Conservatives, we do believe in listening to experts from across the country. But let's talk about where the Conservatives get their
Mark Carney is her
conservative
child's godfather, by the way.
On helping Canadians with their grocery bills from a Loblaws lobbyist. He gets his advice on Ukraine from Elon Musk and from Tucker Carlson. And he has courted the support of misogynists and cozied up to the far right. Those are the advisors Canadians should be really concerned about.
The honourable member from Regina Capel has stood in this place and understands the importance of calling members to order so that those who do have the floor have the opportunity to address the House. The honourable member from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
It's absolutely absurd to hear the finance minister give anyone lessons about who they're taking advice from. Arch-liberal elitist Mark Carney. This guy has more conflicts than the twice guilty and convicted Prime Minister of their party. And they're letting carbon tax Carney keep all the money and all the power by covering up his massive conflicts of interest while giving away that finance minister's job. He makes millions from foreign investment firms.
Yeah.
Now he's advising the Prime Minister. So why is the Prime Minister letting carbon tax Carney keep the money and the power and serving as the real finance minister?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, it's absolutely shameful what the Conservatives are doing. When there is a Canadian who doesn't agree with their vision for Canada, what do? Attack them. Whether it's
That's what they just did.
doesn't agree with what the Conservatives do, the only thing they know how to do is denigrate that person. Mr. Speaker,
They just call Conservatives MAGA maple syrup.
we should be able to hear advice from a whole wide range of actors without attacking their character and bringing down fellow Canadians. They should be ashamed of their actions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's what they just did. This is gaslighting in real time.
Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to bring something to the government's attention, something that won't happen. The Bloc will not agree to tolerating encroachment on Quebec's jurisdiction in exchange for this or that. That won't happen. The Liberal government has to be consistent. They should implement a bill that they voted for. It's got to be one of two ways. Either they get the NDP to support them or they'll pay the price. The Honourable Minister of Labour. Mr. Speaker, speaking of clarity, will the leader of the Bloc Québécois clarify what exactly he said or would say to hundreds of thousands of Quebecers who today benefit from free dental care that he voted against? The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. It's not really clear what was voted against or in favor of. I've never voted in favor of an intrusion on Quebec's jurisdiction. The Liberals have a bloc bill now in their hands. All it takes is a royal recommendation. They say that we're not going to get it, and so the bloc's bill will never go through, and seniors will never get their money. That petty little game is what they want to play. If they are not willing to do this, then we're heading for an election.
Government House leaders. Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa!
The Honourable Minister.
The Bloc just threatened an election.
Mr. Speaker, the spectre of an election is not going to stop us from delivering the goods for Quebecers. That's a bit much. A vote is a very clear thing, I would say to the Bloc leader. It's not as ambiguous as he claims. When they vote, when the Bloc leader votes, he votes against lowering the retirement age to 65. He voted against increasing the GIS for poor seniors in Quebec. And when we brought in dental care, he voted against that too.
I can't believe the Bloc did that.
Let's repeat. The Bloc votes against all intrusions into Quebec's jurisdiction, whether that intrusion is all by itself or in an omnibus bill. C-319 is something that you guys voted for. So follow through here. Be consistent. Make sure it enters into force. Try to rectify the injustice that you yourselves created. So for once, try to vote a little bit intelligently and a little bit consistently.
Oh, wow.
The Honourable Minister of Labour.
They got some attitude today.
The Bloc leader has spent his entire life putting Quebecers' CPP in danger, and he voted against lowering the retirement age to 65, and that had nothing to do with Quebec's jurisdiction. He was voting against seniors. When he voted against increasing the GIS, that had nothing to do with Quebec's jurisdiction, and still he voted against it. He voted against the well-being of Quebecers. He voted in favor of poverty among seniors in Quebec. The Bloc leader needs to be a bit consistent here and take responsibility for his actions.
Whoa!
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, grocery prices are up, time is up. According to Feed Ontario, more than 1 million people were forced to food banks just to feed their family. This is a record-shattering increase of 25%. This stark reality is fueled by the Liberal NDP carbon tax, which is driving up grocery prices. Canadians are struggling to put food on the table. Will the Prime Minister end this suffering and call a carbon tax election?
That's all we want, man.
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Speaker, we all suffer when we know that some of our fellow Canadians are suffering. We've made historic investments as a government, delivering programs investing in Canadians' well-being. But let's not kid ourselves. The Conservatives would cut these very programs that Canadians are relying on. They would cut childcare. They would cut the food program for kids in school. And they would increase the retirement age. They would cut, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, leave more money in the pockets of Canadians.
Yes, we will cut. We will cut the carbon tax. The government's own statistics show that more than 9 million Canadians are suffering with food insecurity, struggling to put food on the table. After 9 years, the number of Canadians that are facing food insecurity is up a staggering 111%. These aren't just statistics. These are millions of parents who can't feed their kids. This is a result of the costly Liberal carbon tax and their NDP coalition partners that are driving up the costs on farmers, on truckers, and on food production. Stick a fork in this government and call a carbon tax election.
Hey. I can get behind that.
And we've just heard it, Mr. Speaker. They have just admitted that they would cut the very programs that Canadian families are relying on. Families that are benefiting from.
We're glad you're listening. Congratulations on listening to the conversation.
Colleagues, it's very difficult for me to hear. It's very difficult for me to hear the minister respond. I'm going to give the minister 30 seconds to respond to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And there you have it. The Conservatives have just confirmed that they will cut the programs that Canadian families are relying on. $10 a day childcare, saving families thousands of dollars. National school food program, ensuring that children are not at school hungry. Mr. Speaker, you heard it here. They plan to cut the supports that Canadian families need.
Taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and after 9 years,
time is up.
Over the summer,
I like that.
Too many heartbreaking story of folks struggling to get by. The NDP Liberals' carbon tax is making life unaffordable. Now, after voting for it 24 times, the NDP even say that they are abandoning the carbon tax. So my question to the minister is simple. Will the Liberals join their coalition partners to axe the carbon tax?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the price on pollution and the Canada carbon rebate are an affordability measure. 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back than they pay in the price on pollution, and the price on pollution is also an effective and efficient way to fight climate change. That's why progressives, including many who voted for the New Democratic Party in the last election, were shocked at the position that were taken by the leader of the New Democratic Party, walking away from a plan on climate change. Shame on them.
Shame. Shame on them.
Down the road.
Shame on them for wanting cheaper taxes for Canadians. Shame.
Mr. Speaker, the PBO disputes those very things. The carbon tax is by design meant to raise prices, and the consequences are devastating. In Red Deer, Alberta, a city of only 100,000 people, have seen usage skyrocket in recent years to 30,000, and this year they're on track to have 40,000 individuals that need help from this food bank. That's in a city, Mr. Speaker, of less than 100,000 people. So, Mr. Speaker, my question is simple. Will the Liberals call a carbon tax election so that Canadians can decide to axe the tax?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said a moment ago, the Canada carbon rebate and the price on pollution are in fact an affordability measure that help those that live on modest incomes the most. It is certainly true that 300 economists in this
His voice has that shakiness to it, eh?
The leader of the opposition.
The opposition.
Up facts, can talk about untruths, but at the end of the day, it is very clear that this is a progressive policy that helps us to fight climate change and address affordability concerns. I would ask the honourable member across the way to actually do his homework.
How many years until we have no more floods?